Well, hello once again. This is me, Leonard, broadcasting as usual from Haslingden, north of Manchester in the UK, on Thursday, the 4th of February 2010. My little talk today is called Charity Begins at Home. I don't know about you, but I think I've just about had it with the present generation of politicians. And I will tell you why. This lot, and the last lot, that's the Labour Party and the Conservative Party, act as if we were still a great power with a great empire, which we have to defend at all costs. We have bases in the Falklands and in Cyprus and Gibraltar. We are at war in Afghanistan and have been at war in Iraq. All of those things costs billions and billions of hard-earned money, as well as lives, which are more important still. In addition, we have this madcap nuclear deterrent, which alone costs billions. Can you tell me who the hell we're going to fire them against? Who are we going to use them against? There is an old saying that charity begins at home. Well, let me announce to the world that here in the UK we have many old people who are afraid to get out of bed in the morning because they can't afford to heat their homes. Can you imagine in the 21st century? We have students who can't afford to go to university, who are expected to borrow the money and start life in debt. We have streets and pavements in appalling condition, not only potholed, but litter everywhere. We have the most expensive rail fares on earth, from Newquay to the Kyle of Lochalsh in Scotland. Is over £1,000 if you want to go first class with a walk-up fare. Can you imagine? You can fly around the planet for less. We still have hospitals in the UK where men and women are expected to share the same ward. Can you believe that in the 21st century? We have dentists who are only willing to treat your teeth if you pay up front. My dentist charges just to be on his books. Can you imagine if plumbers did the same thing? We have a huge problem with alcohol. Every night, and particularly at weekends, young people are standing in town centres spewing their guts up after binge drinking. Is their life in the UK so bad that they have to drown it out with liquor, booze? Abortions are rife. Divorce is almost more popular than marriage. We have schools where the kids are allowed to swear at the teachers, and the teachers can't even shout back at them. We have become so health and safety conscious that schools are even afraid to let children play in the playground in case they hurt themselves and sue the school. You can't go to work here wearing a crucifix without getting the sack. And if you should commit the cardinal sin, pardon my pun, of offering to pray for a sick person, you lose your livelihood. Can you imagine? We have reached the stage with airport security that it would be simpler if we all flew naked without any luggage. We have a council tax system here that beggars belief. My home council charges 2.4 times what is charged by Westminster City Council. Imagine 2.4 times that, and we get less services than they do. I haven't finished yet. We have a Houses of Parliament that ought to be turned into a museum. Seriously. It can't even house properly all our members of Parliament. And it costs a fortune to heat and clean it. And look at all those windows that need cleaning. We have a voting system that lets in a government with only 33% of the vote, but a 66-seat majority. And it isn't even compulsory in the UK to vote. It's against the law to go through a red light, a red traffic light in your car, and yet you can avoid voting without any penalty. And then we have members of Parliament fiddling their expenses, as if they didn't get paid enough. Do you know when they stop being an MP, even if it's only been for a short period, they get a £65,000 golden goodbye. £65,000 golden goodbye. There is more. Isn't it time we grew up and started living in the 21st century? We are in the digital age, talking of flying to Mars. Yet in the House of Commons, we still have folk in wigs and buckled shoes. We expect our gracious Queen to travel around in a tarted up stagecoach. I read the other day that in Bulgaria, and you know how far away Bulgaria is, on the Black Sea, even though it's recently joined the EU, their MPs can vote digitally using their fingerprints as their ID. What happens here? Our MPs have to traipse in and out of the lobby to be counted by hand. In the 21st century, even Bulgaria is streets ahead. The cost of all this government is crippling our hard-working people. To run a decent car these days costs an arm and a leg. They take 20% in income tax out of what you earn after a few small allowances. Then they charge you 17.5%, with a few exceptions, VAT, on everything you spend. Petrol here is almost the most expensive in Europe, if not the world. It's over £1 a litre. In Venezuela, it's 2p a litre. The elderly who are not fortunate enough to have had a job with a pension get about £120 a week, if you're single, on average, by way of state pension. And that's after working 40 or more years. Show me an MP who could live on that. What kind of people do they think we are? Charity begins at home. Stop living in the past and making us all pay through the nose to keep up the expensive pretense that we are a great power still. It's all codswallop. Expensive, unaffordable codswallop. It's time the people of this country had a little of the good life we fought 2 world wars to win for ourselves. To the people of the UK, I say, think before you vote. Please do vote, but think before you do, and think long and hard. Do you want to go on in the same old way, or shall we move into the 21st century and start having a little bit of the good life that our MPs seem to enjoy? For heaven's sake, guys and girls in Parliament, we've had it up to here with being taxed to blazes. And for what? And as if all that isn't enough, when you come to die, they want about £2,000 or more to bury you. Good Lord. Thank you. Cheerio for now. All the best.